Adam Scott Bellos, great to have you here in Jerusalem Dateline. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Chris, for having me.
You started the Israel Innovation Fund, and part of that is called Wine on the Vine. What do you mean by that?
Our flagship project of the Israel Innovation Fund, we have multiple different projects, is, like you said, called Wine on the Vine. The entire point of the project is to allow people to connect to the land of Israel in an entirely new, kind of updated way. Traditionally, the Jewish people and the Jewish National Fund have offered people the ability to plant trees in the land of Israel. So we noticed that trees are not really necessary to be planted in Israel anymore, and that there was one plant that's indigenous to the land of Israel that, by putting it into the ground, fulfills the biblical prophecies of Amos and Jeremiah. And there was nothing that filled that criteria other than grapevines, which also, I guess you could say, create jobs and build businesses.
Why is wine so important to the Jewish people?
Well, if you actually look at the history of the Jewish people and winemaking in the land of Israel, it becomes very clear. So if you look at the blessings from Jacob to Judah, wine is mentioned. In the Midrash, it said that our patriarch Judah washed his clothing in wine. Starting from Noah, the first thing he did was plant a vineyard. If you look at what the spies brought back from the land of Israel to tell the ancient Israelites that this land was a land flowing of milk and honey and fruit, it was grapes on a grapevine. And that's actually the symbol of Israeli tourism. If you look at Jewish observant life, okay, at every single bar bat mitzvah, at every bris, when a baby is circumcised, at a young girl's baby naming, okay, a wedding, any type of simcha, so to speak, we always consecrate the moment over a glass of wine, okay? And it's to us, to the Jewish people, wine is a gift from God. And the Last Supper, like you mentioned, was a Passover Seder. And during the Passover Seder, we have to drink 4 full cups of wine. And one of the things that is very misunderstood about Jesus is that he was a Second Temple Jew that most likely drank more wine than he did water, because the water wasn't clean back then. And most interestingly, in the story, I believe it's Matthew, where he turns water into wine, or is that where he walks on the water?
In Cana, he turns the water into wine, his first miracle.
So that is actually one of the very first times in ancient record that we know where people say, why are you using the good wine? That there was actually a difference between good and bad wine. So apparently, Jesus was making some good wine.
Yeah, he did. And they said, you saved the good wine for last.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is normally what you do first, believe it or not.
So you want to transform the understanding of what's going on here in Israel to a younger generation?
I think it's very important to present Israel in its reality, not necessarily in this version of we're surrounded on all sides, we need your help. Israel's become a wonderful, robust, colorful, creative place for people of all walks of life. There's a reason why it's become such an international hub. And one of our goals at TIFF is to allow the next generation all over the world to be able to connect to Israel through its culture, through its language, through its food, through its wine. There's a very specific reason why we chose Israeli wine to be the first way we would promote Israel, and it's because there are wine drinkers that are Jewish, there are wine drinkers that are non-Jewish. It's important to Jews, it's important to non-Jews. Our generation, let's say 45 to 18 or 21, drinks more wine than any other generation that came before on this earth. And then when you include Gen X, the baby boomers, and the greatest generation that's still alive, more wine now is being drank than ever before. So over the last 20 years, Israeli wine has become much more popular, and we felt that it was the greatest way to break out of just the core audience of who's connected to Israel.
And finally, how can people get in touch with you?
They can go to wineonthevine.org. They can plant a vine at that site. They can choose whatever winery that we offer that they would like to support. If they want to order Israeli wine, they can go to wineonthevine.com. They can also follow me at Wine with Adam on Instagram, or you can find us on Instagram under Wine on the Vine or TIIF for the Israel Innovation Fund. I think I gave you enough.
You gave me enough. Well, Adam Scott Bellos, great to be with you here.
Thank you so much, Chris. Have a wonderful rest of your week.